This broadcast is part of the IC Robots radio network. Visit icrobots.com for this and many other nerd/nostalgia-related podcasts. You won't be sorry for long.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can.
Welcome to the Toys R Us Report, recorded live on Jupiter's third largest moon, Callisto. You better get his rookie card now, because after this year, the price ain't going down. He's your host, IC Robots.
Greetings, Earth people! I am from Jupiter. It is me again, IC Robots. I am not a hero, but I do sacrifice a bit of my week each and every week to make your week a bit less weak. And this week, it is going to get so much less weak. We're going to start off with some talk about the flea market and some bad customer service I got over at Best Buy. And then we're going to move into a movie review about a prison movie. I love a prison movie. This one's called The Brawl In Cell Block 99. I thought it was awesome. And then we got the main event, in which I am going to talk about the top 5 Christmas presents I ever got in the entirety of my life. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. But before we get there, we're going to start off with a new tune from the ensign over in Pod B and Engineer Emily. Let me see if I can find it here. I got it. I should have these booted up. All right, here we go. Hit it.
I chopped you, chewed you, baked you and schooled you. That sloppy pop, you need to stop. You're kind of rude, you. No good nincompoop, trying to base. How we live in homes? Get out my face. You are listening to the Toys R Us Report. No matter how hard you try, you can't stop us now.
That is definitely true. We can't be stopped. We've gotten so far past the point in which we can be stopped that there's just no stopping us now. But check it out, man. I've been having some computer issues lately, I was thinking I was having some computer issues, but what it turned out it was the monitor. It kept turning on and off, and I wasn't sure if it was, the monitor itself or the computer, but after a bunch of testing, I did determine that it was, in fact, the monitor. So I headed out to get one. I realized you can get better prices online, but I wanted to get it today, and I wanted to have it in my hand so I can get back to computing and all that good stuff. So I headed over. First, I went to Office Depot, and I looked around, and they had like lots of super fancy monitors, but I don't even feel the need to have a good one. I just need one to do stuff. So we went there, and I couldn't find one I liked, and then we headed next door to Best Buy to see if there was one there that I wanted, and they had a much better selection, and I was able to find one that handled my needs for like $120. It was a bit more than I wanted to pay. Look, I'm a cheapy dude when it comes to computers because I don't have like a lot of high-end computer needs. I don't game. I don't do any of that stuff. I just play around on Facebook and do stuff like that when I'm at home. I record the show in the recording booth here on the good old Jupiter moon base, so I don't even have like those kind of things to do down there on Earth. So I would have been happy with like an $80 monitor. I don't care. I very seldom like watch anything on it. I just poke around on Facebook, do some eBay stuff. I don't know, very very low intensity whatever. So I don't know. It was a bit more than I wanted, but I was fine with it. It was within the range that I had set. So it kind of works where they have like all the monitors on the top and then the boxes for the monitors underneath. And I couldn't find the one I wanted, and this blue shirt, this kid who works there, he comes up and he's like, "Hi, can I help you guys find anything?" And I said, "Oh yeah. Can you help me find this monitor? I can't seem to find this one here." And he looks at the number and he searches around like where we search. He did his due diligence and he goes, let me let me look in the computer just to make sure we have these in stock. And I said, okay, and I waited there, and he was gone for a while. He just like took off to some other area of the store for serious. Dude was gone for days, and eventually he did come back, and he told me, oh, we actually have 5. No, we have 4. We have 4 of these in stock. Let me go into the warehouse and see if I can find one. And I said, that sounds great. Thanks for the help, guy. And he heads off into the dark recesses of the warehouse, and he was gone. He was gone for a while. I think that if I said 20 minutes, that is no exaggeration, but I'm thinking, well, that's all good in the hood because it means he's looking. Maybe it's, hard to find things back there. I don't know. I've never been there. I've never been in the Best Buy warehouse in my life. So homeboy's back there and he's poking around, and eventually he comes out and he goes, well, I couldn't find it. And I'm thinking, well, that's weird because you said he had 4 of them, and I honestly would not have come out without finding one. And he goes, well, I can't find it. And then we kind of like stood there in awkward silence for a few seconds, maybe like 5 or 10 seconds of just standing there looking at each other. And he pulls his phone out of his pocket and he starts like blooping around on his phone. And I got to tell you, I hate it when I'm in a store and I see the employees on their phone. It's just in the days when I was working customer service at the video store and stuff, of course we didn't have cell phones, but the idea of like looking at your phone and checking your Facebook when you're talking to customers would have been unheard of. Now, I'm not saying we had the best service of all the times or anything, but it would have been unheard of to do something like that. So he's blooping around on his phone, and I'm just standing there with the wife looking at him. I'm just like, what's going on here? I kind of looked at her like, what's going on here? And he looked up from his phone, and he realized that we were still standing there looking at him, and he goes, oh, can I help you with anything else? And I kind of like looked at the wife, and I go, are you going to go try to find the monitor? And he's like, I tried, I couldn't find it. Can I help you with anything else? And I go, well, anything else? What did you help me with in the first place? And he goes, let me get somebody else to help you. And he saunters off, and eventually they found somebody else, and he was able to find the monitor. But man, I don't even know why I'm telling this story, but this guy like really chapped my hide. He really chapped the good old hide when he was like, can I help you with anything else? I'm just like, what did you help me with? And man, I don't know. I know what it's like working customer service, but I also know that I wouldn't come out without finding the monitor. And the other guy was able to find the monitor. So the monitor was there. So I don't know what he was doing. I would have been in the back, and if I couldn't find it, I would have found somebody who had more familiarity with the back and asked them to help me find the monitor. But what are you going to do? I got the monitor. I brought it home. But man, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with Best Buy. Their prices are high, their selection's only mediocre, and the only reason I went there in the first place was because I wanted the monitor in my hand now, and I'm just like, why go there after this weird experience? This guy was like literally one of the worst customer service dudes I've ever seen. He's like playing on his phone, expecting me to accept the fact that he says, I can't find it. Like I'm supposed to just like wander off or something. I don't know what he expected. I don't know. Dude was a bit of a dingleberry, I guess. I try really hard not to complain on the show. I want it to be the tsunami of sunshine. I want it to be sunshine and lollipops and all that other good stuff. But I went to the flea market on Sunday, and I had the weirdest experience, and I did something that I'm not proud of, and I feel bad, but I want to share it here as a way. It might be cathartic to get it out. I was walking around through the flea market. This is the Sebastopol one, not the Mojo Sales one. This is the one we've been preferring lately. I've been finding better stuff there, and I'm walking around, and we're not really finding anything, which is, that's part of the game, dude. Most of the time when you look for stuff, you will in fact strike out. It's just the way it is. But I was walking around, and I get to this table, and this guy had he had like a cardboard box with a bunch of just like random junky toys in it, and I kind of poked around in it, and toward the bottom there were some G.I. Joe parts, like legs and waist, the waist joints or whatever that you pull the legs into. They were like a whole bunch of broken O-ring style figures floating around, and I pulled out like a not a Snake Eyes, a Storm Shadow, a later issue Storm Shadow, not like one of the cool earlier ones, one of the Ninja Force ones. I pulled out the parts. Like this was legs, waist, body, arms, all separate. So I pulled out all these pieces, and amongst the pieces was the figure Deep Six. Deep Six was the driver of the shark. It's like a flying submarine, and dude is in like a full body. He's different than most G.I. Joe figures. He's in like a full deep sea diver gear with like a dome on his helmet, and he only has like articulation at the shoulders. And I needed him because I had the shark at home, but I didn't have him. So I had like this small pile of parts, right? With like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 figures. And then I had Deep Six, and I went to the guy and I said, "Hey man, how's it going?" I gave him like my, my nice sweet guy voice. And I'm just like, "Hey man, how's it going? I'm wondering how much these are." And he takes it from me, and he's like, he kind of separates them into the figures that I put together, and he goes, $9 each. And I'm like, $9 each? These are like corroded G.I. Joes that are in parts. And I'm like, I don't know. Let me see those again. And I'm kind of looking at them, and I go, well, I don't know if I want these at that price. I'm like, let me think about it. How much just for Deep Six? And he goes, that one, $10. And I'm like, $10? I'm like, why are you raising the price? I thought that. I didn't say it because I'm still in nice guy negotiating mode. But I'm like, well, I don't know. And I put the other pieces back in the box, and I go, how about $4? I'm starting low in the negotiation in hopes of like meeting him at like $5. $5 it's more than I want to pay, but I'm happy to do it just, to kind of, just to complete the shark. And he goes, no, $10. And I go, okay, how about $7? Because I'm just like, I want something. I've gone to all this trouble to like dig through this cardboard box. And he goes, I said $10. And he said it like super threateningly, like really like aggressively. And I'm like, whoa, aggressive negotiator. And then I'm like, all right, $8. And he goes, I said 10. And he picks a screwdriver up off his table, like for real. He picked up a screwdriver that he had for sale, and he starts like waving it around and gesturing it. And at one point he points it pretty near to my face, and I'm just like, this is so weird. But I try to play it off lightly. I'm just like, hey, are you threatening me? Like I said it in like hey, are you threatening me? Like I'm totally joking, right? And he goes, yeah. And he like tries to puts it like nearly under my chin. Like he's gonna jam it up through the bottom of my head like I'm a zombie, like up through my brains. He goes, yeah. And he's like holding it there. So I'm just like, this is nuts. So I took a step back, and I took Deep Six, and I threw him over a fence. The flea market is like, it's kind of like in a wooded area, and the flea market isn't a wooded area, but like outside the fences, it's kind of like a rural wooden area. So I stepped back, and I just threw Deep Six over the fence, and I shot him the finger. I stuck the finger right in his face and walked off. And homeboy was yelling at me from a distance, and I'm just like, this is so weird to me. It was weird because, in some circles that are more sensitive than the ones I run in, it could be said that he threatened my life. I mean, let's be serious. Dude held a screwdriver to my throat. He could have jammed it at me. I mean, dude was weird, and he looked kind of weak. I think that I could have at any moment like grabbed his wrist and just, took the screwdriver from him. It's still, I didn't like having it stuck near my neck, like didn't like it at all. And it was also weird that I threw the figure over the fence. I'm not usually the demonstrative type. I was a bit surprised, and to be honest, I'm a bit embarrassed in myself that I did that, because other people saw this. They saw me with the dude, and they saw the dude pointing at my neck, and they saw me throw it over the fence. They saw me They saw me stick up the double bird like I was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I don't know, man. I don't want to get a reputation as being a flea market weirdo, but I also don't want to get a reputation as somebody who will give in to the kind of bartering that involves death threats. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think of this. This whole thing was weird. What would you have done? I think that there are some out there that might have given him a smack. There's some out there that might have just put the figure down and walked away. What do you think about what I did? The part that fills me with regret is that there is a vintage Deep Six action figure that is like it's lost. It's lost for all eternity. I hope that someday somebody finds it. Maybe I'll go over there and find it myself. But I think if I did that, that might be considered thievery, and I'm not into thievery by any means. So I don't know, my bros. Let me know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter. That's at ICRobots, ISEEROBOTS. I'm curious. I'd like to know what you think. Let me know. But until you do that, let's move into the next segment of the show. This part is known as At the Movies.
In a moment, at the movies, without Ebert, Siskel, or even that dude Roper. But you got Icy Robot, so that's something, right?
Don't tell me my business. I do things direct, and I have a system.
Won't last forever.
Minimum freedom.
I'm not going to tell you anything you want to hear. And prison will give me plenty of time to look at guys I don't like.
The Brawl In Cell Block, 99. Available now on VOD.
The Brawl In Cell Block 99 is it's a prison movie. I guess you could tell that by the title. I love prison movies. I don't know. I think that we all have like a fascination with prison. Like we never want to go there, but we're curious about what goes on in there. I've had this idea for a long time. If I was like a wealthy entrepreneur, what I'd like to do is purchase a prison, like purchase an decommissioned prison and fill it full of actors and stuff and set up like a prison, what would you call it? A fantasy camp, maybe a prison fantasy camp where you could, for a price, go and spend the week in prison just to see what it's like. I'd have the actors playing out scenarios and stuff, and it would be a test of your mettle. You'd be able to find out whether you could make it or not. I think this could be a good idea, man. If any of you guys want to take it, feel free, because I don't have the money to pay a bunch of actors and buy an old prison. So you're welcome to have it, because I myself might like to go. The Brawl In Cell Block 99 is available right now only on VOD. You can order it through like DirecTV or whatever. It's probably available at your local video shop. So if you have one of those, please go get it there. I myself was remiss in not getting it, but I wanted to see it right now, and I saw it in the listing, so I got it. And the flick stars Vince Vaughn, who you might know from Swingers. You might know Vince Vaughn from any number of things. This is a real dark take on the Vince Vaughn archetype. He's a dude who is a career drug runner, right? In a previous life, he was a prize fighter, but he's now a drug runner, and these exploits, they lead to him behind bars. And while he's there, he's tasked with killing another inmate. The crooks on the outside have kidnapped his wife, and they're threatening his unborn baby. They make a threat on his wife in this movie that is one of the single most disturbing things I have ever heard in a film. So if you're into that kind of stuff, this movie's for you. So what Vince Vaughn has to do is to save his wife. He has to go and get transferred to a super hardcore maximum security prison and kill somebody there. And man, along the line, he has some brutal, vicious fights. I think that the fights are the selling point of the movie, and they are they're all interesting. Vince Vaughn has a boxing style, and during the course of the movie, he fights like a guy with like kung fu hand skills and various street fighters and kickboxers and stuff. And the fights are good. The fights are really interesting. Vince Vaughn is a giant dude. He's like 6'5", and he's very slow moving, but he plays it off like he is almost invincible, and he has like incredible punching power. So it's him versus faster dudes with better skills. I enjoyed this movie immensely. I thought it was great. I think that it stands up amongst some of the best, most violent prison movies of all time. I saw this movie called Shot Callers that stars Jamie Lannister, and I think this movie's better than that. This one is one of the most violent movies I have ever seen in my life. Some of the things Vince Vaughn does to these guys is like just so gory and gross. If you like that kind of stuff, you will like this movie. Let's hop on over to Tomatoes, and we're going to see what they have to say. The movie was directed by S. Craig Zoller, who directed Bone Tomahawk. I saw that movie last year. That was one of the most violent movies I've ever seen, too. So I guess we see what Zoller's all about. It is 132 minutes runtime, and it is presently at 74% with the audience, but 92% with the critics. That's interesting. I would have kind of expected it to go the other way. I myself thought this movie was terrific. As a prison film, it's terrific. And this is something that makes you think. When you rate a film, are you rating it against other films of its type, or are you rating it against every movie out there? Is the Brawl in Cell Block 99 rated against movies like Shot Caller, or is it included in the bigger world and we are rating it against movies like Lady Bird? I don't know. I have no idea. I am going to rate it against other grindhouse movies of its type. So on the good old-fashioned Source magazine Mike meter, with 1 being a dud and 5 being an all-time classic, I give, on the scale of prison movies, I give the Brawl in Cell Block 99 a good old 4 mics.
4 mics.
This is Don Fry, and you're listening to Toys R Us Report. Touch that down, I'll kill you.
Dallas will not be seen tonight.
You're kidding. Well, I never cared about a thing like that.
But it will return next Friday.
Well, in that case, we better stop wasting time.
Here you go, you greedy devils. The top 5 Christmas gifts that IC Robot ever got in all his life.
When you are a kid, the opening of the gifts is the single greatest moment of the year. Your Christmas gifts are what you wait for every single day until the day finally comes. Christmas is the main event of the entire year when you were a child. This is the time when you feel guaranteed to get some sort of a big ticket toy like a game system or a major action figure play set or a giant Lego play set, something like that. This is the time. It's bigger than the birthday. For the birthday, you're going to get something fun. You might get like a G.I. Joe tank or like a few G.I. Joes or something like that, but you are not going to get, for the most part, the game system for your birthday. It's probably going to come at Christmas. So with knowing that, Christmas is just, man, it's so important. I remember Christmas Eve as a kid and being in bed and just laying there and rolling back and forth and being unable to find any way into the land of Nod, finding any way to clock some Z's because I was just so anxious to get out there and get my hands on those gifts. I was the type that would get up at like the butt crack of as early as you could get. I would get up at 4 if I could afford it, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever time I could, I would get out of bed and go and get my hands on those gifts. So this is a fun top 5, I think. I'm going to go down the top 5 gifts I ever received. And interestingly enough, one of them is not a gift from my childhood. We'll get to that when the time comes. Let's get into it, man. Let's find out what are the best 5 gifts I ever received for Christmas.
Number 5.
Stu Thompson, #1 BMX pro, was challenged by Huffy to create a great bike.
Huffy BMX bikes, Stu Thompson series, white paint job, pinstripe pads, rigid power system for maximum performance.
The result? A flash of white lightning. A bike so free, it could only be built for you by Huffy and Stu, the 2 #1s in BMX racing.
Totally awesome.
Huffy, America's first choice.
Number 5 on my list is my Huffy Thunder Road. I got this bike the year that we moved to California, which is by my estimations 1982, and we got this bike before I started at Binkley Elementary School, and I was jazzed on this bike. Go online and Google a Huffy Thunder Road. It's a black bike that is sort of in a BMX style, but not a BMX realistic style, kind of a cartoony BMX style. It has a big black seat, this big giant seat. It's long and somewhat thin. It also has like a placard with the number on the front. Mine was number 54. I really like this bike. The seat was comfortable. Everything was nice. The bike was super duper heavy. That is one thing I remember. It was almost like the frame was solid steel. And I don't know, man. I thought this was like a super cool BMX bike and that I was going to be like one of those BMX dudes tearing it up in the dirt tracks or whatever. And then I started at Binkley, and the kids there were fine, but they were a bit more upper crust than I was, and they all had like mongooses and other bikes like that, like real life BMX style bikes. They were the kind of kids that were upper crust to the point that if they requested something from their parents wouldn't be the sort that would get them like or sort of knockoff version. Like, let's say they asked for a guitar. They wouldn't get them like an inexpensive guitar to see if they were into it. Their parents would go out and get them like a Les Paul or something like that. I don't know a lot about guitars, but I think that Les Paul is like a sort of upper crusty kind of deal. It's like, these were the kind of kids that the parents like, I want to get a bike. They're going to get them like a pro style BMX kind of bike. And I had my Huffy, which I really liked, but then all these other kids had their mongooses and stuff. And I was cast upon many derisions on my bike. They would make fun of the seat. They would make fun of everything because it wasn't a real style BMX. And it got to the point where I quit riding my bike to school, it was a bummer because it was dope to have your bike at school. And after class, you could go in and like head off to Ben Franklin's or somewhere like and have more adventures. If you didn't have your bike, you had to walk. But I got teased so much for my bike that I started walking, which wasn't really like the move, but none of us have the strongest egos at the time. But it didn't affect my real love for the bike. Like, I would still motor it around the neighborhood. Like, when I got home, I was jumping right on it, and I was going bug nutty, but I didn't take it to school. I gave in, but I don't know. That also taught me the lesson that when you do something like that, you don't really feel that great about it. You don't feel that great about giving in to teasing. So I learned that I gotta be me, man. I gotta keep it real. I enjoy the bike. I shouldn't care what people say. And this is something that I've tried to carry with me in my later life. I just try to do my own thing. If you don't like it, man, that is cool. That's your opinion and you're welcome to it, but it doesn't affect how I see myself. So while I did not get as much out of this bike that I could have by giving in to the mocking, I did get a valuable life lesson, and that's always important too. Let's move into numero 4.
Number 4.
Number 4 is the microphone that I am using right now to record this lovely podcast for all you kids out there, all you boys and girls, dogs and cats. kids and whatever. This is something I got from the good old wife. I got this, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago when I first decided I wanted to try to do something on the internet, like a podcast or whatever. I was using my phone, which was, it was good enough to get a start and see if I liked it, but I wasn't happy with the sound quality, and my wife, she heard me talking about it, and she secretly went behind my back to Radio Shack and got me this blue Snowball microphone. It's actually white, but the company name is blue, and it was one of the most thoughtful gifts that I was ever given. She heard me, she heard what I wanted, she thought that I should keep doing what I'm doing and that I deserved an upgrade, and she upgraded me. It was really great. I was so excited the day that I got it. I plugged it in, and it's a USB mic, and I plugged it in, and it immediately downloaded the software, and I was able to go to work. And ever since then, I've been doing this show every weekend, and I really like it. Through the new microphone, I was able to keep going, and I discovered something that I really enjoyed. It's really something that I find fulfilling. I have a good time doing it. I have a big mouth, and I like to sit and talk to myself for a couple hours at a time and edit it down to a tight 45 to 1 hour. The microphone is pretty neat. I definitely enjoy it. I think the quality is fine. I recommended it to my main man, Gino Vega, and he bought one as well. I seem to think that his is orange, if I remember correctly. I've only seen pictures of his recording studio. It's a tight setup, man. It is professional. He has one of those giant mixing boards with those the dials and the things that go up and down. It's fantastic. He's encased in like a glass booth with a microphone hanging down and dangling in front of his face. It's great. I'm quite jealous, but he's more of a recording professional than me. He's actually worked in the business in the past. He's worked with such artists as Ray Love and dudes like that. He's a true legend of the Northern California recording community. I myself, I'm just, I'm in a closet up on a moon base with vents and stuff. What do I know? But I'm happy. I'm happy with this microphone, man. And it's the kind of gift that keeps on giving because it allows me to tell my stories. It allows me to keep the creative juices flowing, which is super important, man. We all gotta use those creative energies. It's like, I think that they're inside all of us, and it's important to get them out. And this is something I've discovered that I really enjoy and I find fulfilling. So number 4 is my blue Snowball microphone given to me by the old wife. Let's move into numero 3.
Number 3.
From Kenner's Star Wars collection, the Darth Vader TIE Fighter.
Careful, Luke, we've got company.
X-Wing fighter and action figure sold separately. Batteries not included.
Turn it down, Luke.
Darth Vader's TIE Fighter has flashing lights, action sound.
Luke's force is strong, but we've got him now.
Oh, no, you don't.
We've lost our solar panels.
Perfect hit.
I'll be back.
Kenner's Star Wars Darth Vader TIE Fighter. X-Wing fighter and action figure each sold separately.
Number 3 is the Darth Vader TIE Fighter by Kenner. This is a toy that I got back when we lived in Illinois. This is, it's a TIE Fighter. It has wings on the side and a pod in the middle, but where it differs is that the wings are sort of concave, whereas the normal TIE Fighters are just like straight up and down flat sheets of paper. I had this toy forever. I wonder where it went. Do you ever think about that when you remember back a toy you had? When was the day that you finally lost it or tossed it in the garbage? It's just like, it's not something that I could ever imagine doing. I can't imagine the day where I'm just like, well, forget this TIE Fighter, flip into the garbage. But it must have happened at some point. I had this forever though, before it finally met its fate. I don't even know if I had Darth Vader. I remember that the Christmas I asked for a TIE Fighter, and I expected to get the standard model, but instead I got the Darth Vader model. And at first I was a bit bummed out on that, but I learned to I learned to love it because everybody else in the neighborhood had either like an X-Wing or the standard TIE Fighter, but I was like the only fool that had the Darth Vader TIE Fighter, so it gave me like a cool aura of uniqueness. You know, this was a neat toy. It had a button that you could push and the wings would fly off. I remember that eventually I lost one wing, and when I did that, I took the other wing off and it just became like a flying pod that I would just, float through the air. This toy lasted well into the days of G.I. Joes. I mean, the pod did. At one point it was Cobra Commander's transport. It was his shuttlecraft. I also used this in the bathtub a lot. I was and to some degree I still am, a bathtub toy guy. I would take my figures with me into the tub and just, do whatever with them. If something happened to float, that was all the better, but even if it didn't, it was still fun. None of the Star Wars toys, to my knowledge, ever floated, and I know this one didn't because when I would take it into the tub, it kind of acted as a one-man submarine. It would be like floating around underneath the bubs and then shooting out like a G.I. Joe shark. It was like a submarine that could also fly. I really dig this toy. This is one that I wouldn't mind copying now, but I bet that it's pricey. Fortunately, I am already logged on to the internet. I suspected that something like this might happen, so I got ahead and I logged on to AOL. I'm far away from the microphone, and I hope that you can still hear me well. I am typing in Darth Vader TIE Fighter, and we will see what it cost. I'm going to add the tag vintage, just so it knows I'm not looking for the pop vinyl one. For example, let's start at the highest. That's where we're most likely going to get one complete in a box. So here's one complete in the box for $850. Let's kind of scroll down and see how much we're costing for a complete one that doesn't come with the box. Here's like $139. I wonder how low we can go. Let's keep scrolling and see how low the cheapest we can get a complete one. Here's $80. That's not bad. Here's a Lego one, $27. Here's one for $60 with free shipping. This one is complete, and it has the instruction manual, and that's not bad. Here's one for $50. That's cool. For something that is from 1978, paying $50 for a complete version is not bad. I don't know if this is something I'm going to do, but it is something that I could conceivably do in the future. Let's move into the next one on the list.
Number 2.
Kick on, shoot, jump on the job. Listen to the jam master as he starts to rock. His name is Jay, and he's on his way to be the best DJ in the US of A.
The second best Christmas gift that I ever received was Run DMC's self-titled solo debut, Run DMC. When I got it, what I actually wanted was Raising Hell, it was the jam at the time. Everybody was into all those songs off Raising Hell, and I wanted that tape super bad, but instead they got me Run DMC by mistake. But to me, this is the superior tape. It is so hard. And it is so street, and it was, at the time, unlike anything I had ever heard in my life. It's pretty different than Raising Hell. Raising Hell it's more of an elevated tape. It has more of a pop appeal. Run DMC is just straight boom bap, drum machine hip hop. It was like nothing I had ever heard in my life. It was so weird and so foreign to me that I didn't even know how they were making it. I kind of had the idea with Raising Hell that they were like using records to make the songs, like they were taking parts of records. I didn't understand exactly how it worked, but I did kind of have an idea of what it was, but I did not even know what a drum machine was. These pounding sounds were just so weird to me. I could not figure it out, and I listened to it like over and over and over again. This was my introduction to having a cassette of my own. I had a radio, and I'd listen to the radio, and it had a cassette player, but I never really had any cassettes of my own. I had some, like, hand-me-down cassettes from my parents and stuff and things like that, but I didn't have any of my own. This was, like, the first tape that I ever owned on my own, and it opened up my door to the world of being able to, like, control what you listen to. I would listen to, like, KZST, that's the most popular station here in Santa Rosa. It's what you would hear if you go to the dentist or something. This is the music that they would be playing in the waiting room. I would listen to, like, KFRC, which was the oldies station, but as much as I liked listening to the radio, I didn't like how you just had to play, or listen to, rather, what they were playing. I wanted my own things. I wanted my own tapes, and this was the first one that I ever had on my own. It opened up my door to that. It opened up my door to just hip-hop in general. I had heard hip-hop and stuff, and I was into Run DMC by way of, the singles and whatever, but this was in owning it. I really got into the way it sounded, and it sounded like something of my own. It wasn't rock, it wasn't pop. This was my music. My parents would listen to a lot of, like, pop music. They liked, Christopher Cross, and they liked a lot of the country that was popular at the time, like the Oak Ridge Boys and things like that. This was definitely mine. This is the story that I remember about the tape. I got the tape for Christmas, and the first time I put it into the tape player, it just got completely eaten. I had probably never cleaned the tape player in my life, and I'd had this radio for years, and the first time I used it, zing! There's tape flying everywhere, and I was super bummed out, but it was Christmas, and there wasn't really anything that you could do about it. So the next day, the 26th, I was just like, please take me to Rainbow Records and exchange it for me, please. But the thing was, they didn't have the receipt. They just, they tossed it when they bought the present. So I remember going in with my mom, and my mom can be a forceful woman when it's necessary. And she moaned and moaned and complained and moaned. So they finally exchanged the tape without the receipt. And man, I was so thankful for that, because I was thinking that I was going to be completely out. I felt like the tape was eaten and it was my fault and that I was completely out. But my mom was able to flip the script and make him give me a new one. And I had this tape for years. I wish I still had it now. I have Tougher Than Leather and I have Raising Hell, but I don't have Run DMC in my hip hop cassette collection. It pops up on eBay from time to time. You can probably get it for under $20, and I probably should. I just haven't gotten around to do it. It is one that I would like to have. I've said this before on the show, and I'm going to say it again because we're talking Run DMC. I saw DMC at a comic show in Sacramento when he was signing this book that he was selling at the time, and I was just too starstruck. I was too geeked to go talk to him, and I regret it. I regret it now. I wish that I would have gone over and just given him a pound and told him how much his music meant to me. I'm sure he hears it all the time, but it would have been nice for me to be able to say to him, but I was too geeked, and the guy seemed super nice. We kind of watched him from a distance for a while, and he seemed super nice. So I hope that someday I do get that chance again. Every once in a while, I'll see that he is making like a Comic-Con appearance. So I hope that someday he comes around here again. And if he does, I'm gonna do it. But let's move into the best Christmas gift I ever got in my life.
Here it is, people. I see Robot's most favorite Christmas gift of all the times.
What do we have here?
It's Castle Grayskull. And it's mine. Not so fast, Beastman. He-Man!
You can pit He-Man against Beastman, playing for the power of Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together. Beastman's escaping.
The throne, Dad. Dad, you saved the castle.
Castle Grayskull from the Masters of the Universe collection. He-Man and Beastman, each sold separately, from Mattel.
My favorite Christmas present of all the time and space was Castle Grayskull. Castle Grayskull came out in 1982, but I seem to remember getting it in 1983, but I don't know, man. That's just whatever. I used to be so into He-Man. I have completely forgotten how much I was into He-Man, and I was reminded when I was at the Toy-Con this past year. That was right before the big fires, man. That was something, but when I was there at the Toy-Con, I saw He-Man and Battle Cat combined with Skeletor and that stupid panther that he used to ride, and that brought back memories of how powerfully I was into He-Man. Now I am just like, I'm obsessed with getting all these He-Man things back. Man, Castle Grayskull was such a neat toy. It was plastic, and it folded out. It would be able to shutter close, and you could use it as sort of like a carrying case. You could toss all your He-Man stuff in there and lug it around if you wanted, but then it would open up, and you could play in the front of the castle or behind the castle, which acted as the interior. It had 2 floors with like a computer room and a weapons room, and upstairs there was a throne that if you rotated it would activate a trapdoor. That trapdoor was like my favoriteest thing. He-Man or whoever would sit in the throne, and it was just so funny to trick somebody and have them fall down into the depths, into the torture chamber. This was a great playset, and what made it such a great gift was I wanted it so bad, and I let it be known that this was what I wanted more than anything in the world, and my parents played it off like, well, there's no way we're going to be able to get you that. It's just, you can't find those anywhere. It's too expensive. They would make up like 1,000,001 different excuses, and I had no idea that when I got out there Christmas morning, boom, there it was, Castle Grayskull. The art on the box was so beautiful. These are just like beautiful paintings. I would love to have prints of some of these He-Man vehicles, just really great fantasy prints, and it shows the castle with the trapdoor front, with the scary mouth and the skull, just beautiful. And I could remember ripping open the wrapping paper, and there it was, that scary skull right in my face. I had Castle Grayskull forever. This was another one that survived way into the G.I. Joe days. After I kind of moved away from He-Man and into G.I. Joe, because, He-Man was a bit childish, and G.I. Joe was way more mature. And once I moved away from the He-Man into the G.I. Joe, I kept a hold of Castle Grayskull, and it was like Cobra's base. They would be in it, and sometimes the Joes would attack, and they would, be holding Castle Grayskull for a while. I didn't have like tons and tons of big playsets. I had figures and I had vehicles, but I didn't have tons of playsets. So this was one of the few big things that I had that could act as a base for the guys, and I held on to it forever. This is another one that I can't imagine ever tossing out, but I know I must have, and I wonder what was going through my head at the time I tossed it away. I can't imagine what that dude was thinking. That guy was nuts. He must have thought he was like too into hip-hop, too into Public Enemy and all that stuff. I could never, ever conceivably care about He-Man and Castle Grayskull again. If I could, I would go back and tell that guy, you're a fool. You're going to care about it so hard. I actually dedicated an entire episode to Castle Grayskull back in the Ferg. It was episode 19, if I remember correctly. And this was back in the day when the show was just incredibly toy-centric, and I would just go out there and talk on a toy. Castle Grayskull was one that I knew that I needed to talk about. Just a beautiful toy. I loved it. I loved it so much. It came with a weapon rack. That was one of the cool things. There's like this rack that was down in the lower floor, and it came with, I don't remember, like 5 or 6 different weapons. I was the sort that would always lose my dude's accessories. So getting this was like a way to refresh Man-at-Arms. Like Man-at-Arms had a new mace, and just all of them got new weapons because of this. This is great. I'm starting to run out of steam on this. I've been doing this for a while now straight. So let's call it a day. So there you have it, man. Castle Grayskull, beautiful toy, loved it. I plan to get it. I looked it up on the good old eBay earlier this week, and you can get a complete one for like $150, and that comes with like the weapon rack and all the weapons and all the different stuff. But you can get the shell of it for as little as $40 with free shipping. So I might do that, but it takes up a lot of real estate, so I don't know where I would put it down on the Earth base if I had it. Once I once I solve that problem, the thing is, man, it's going to have to go on the top shelf. Because it's so tall, I don't have that many, like, really wide shelves. I definitely don't have a shelf that would fit that on the lower levels. It has to go up top, so something would have to move out, and I don't know what that is because there's a lot of cool stuff up there. I don't know, man. We'll see. If I do get it, I'll let you know where it goes. But let's move into the final segment of the shoot.
You've made it this far. It's time. The final segment. The IC Robots radio pop culture / toy news / other boring stuff informational moment.
All right, dudes, we are here. We are here at the end of the show, the final part where we talk about, like, different news topics or just, whatever's going on. Let's start off with the big thing. We are right now in the middle of the IC Robots Radio Charity Christmas Gift Box season. This is something I have set up in which I have this USPS, this large USPS priority flat rate box full of all sorts of, like, weird odds and ends that I found at the dig or that I found at the flea market over the past year. It's really cool, man. It's full of a bunch of fun stuff, and all you have to do to get a chance to get your hands on this box is you have to get a toy and donate it to Toys for Tots. And somewhere along the way, send me a picture of the toy, and I'll retweet it if you want. I'll post it on the Facebook page if you want. This is going good so far, but what's interesting about it is that the people who have reached out to me and said that they have said that they don't necessarily want the box. So I hope I'm not going to get stuck with this thing, please. Please consider doing this. Toys for Tots is a very rewarding experience. There are just so many kids out there who are going to get nothing for Christmas. And that's one of the saddest things I can think of. We have a fine country, and everybody deserves to get something under the tree. So please, dudes, if you can afford anything, get a Hot Wheel. They are $1.99, and Toys for Tots needs presents of all varieties. So if you're if you don't got all the money in the world like myself, get a Hot Wheel, get something like that. There are all sorts of cool things you can find for like $4.99 or less. It doesn't matter. It's the spirit of giving, and there are kids out there who dig cars and they want Hot Wheels, and you flip a couple of them in the box, it's like $5 for two, and they'll be happy when they get them, because you don't only get like one thing. You don't get only one thing, rather, you get a bunch of stuff from Toys for Tots, and they're going to give you a couple big things, a couple small things, and it all works out in the end, please. Consider doing so, consider joining, consider tweeting me about it. It's going to be great. I got to get this box out of here. Please, somebody take it off my hands. Hit me up on Twitter. That's at ICRobots, ISEEROBOTS on Twitter, or Facebook.com/ICRobots, as if I am looking at them. I saw the big DCW Universe crossover spectacular, and I thought it was dynamite. I enjoyed it. It started off in Supergirl on Monday, and then they moved the Arrow right after Supergirl on Monday. So you got the first two parts, 2 hours of it the first day, and then the next day it was on The Flash, and it finished up in Legends of Tomorrow. The basic storyline idea was that Earth was being invaded by evil Nazi doppelgangers of all the characters on the CW universe, from the multiverse planet Earth X, the Earth in which the Nazis have won it all, and they're ruling, man. They're trying to turn the multiverse into an all-Nazi ruled regime, and that's terrible. And the guys battle with them. They try to stop them. It's a lot of fun. They introduced a new character, the Ray, who is one of the members of the Freedom Fighters, the DC team that goes over to Earth X and tries to battle these evil Nazis. I understand that there is a cartoon of the Ray right now on the CW Seed, which you can find online. I have it on my Roku. It's actually a pretty neat app. Besides having the most recent episodes of all the CW shows and stuff, they have a lot of like older shows. For a while, they had the entire run of Max Headroom. They had the whole run of the OC. I don't know. They rotate things in and out. It's a decent app. If you have a Roku, definitely add the CW Seed in case you happen to miss like an episode of The Flash. You could just you can just hop on over there and check it out. It's pretty dope. They went really far with the Nazi iconography in this miniseries. I was surprised. I thought this stuff was verboten. I thought you couldn't do it. I thought it was considered to be in very poor taste, and Nazis aren't in the best taste by any means, but they went all the way with this. Like, there's a Nazi version of Supergirl, and instead of having like the S on her chest, she has like the double Nazi S, and there's a Nazi version of Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow. It was pretty harsh as far as that stuff went. I was a bit surprised, but hey man, they went all the way, and I appreciate that. It was just a very successful event, in my opinion. Last year, they did an alien invasion. They did the 80s DC miniseries, The Invasion, where the Dominators come down and attack, and this year it was Nazis. I wonder what will be next. I can't even imagine, but last year, man, it was this. This year, they ramped it up with more characters, more action. I wonder, there's nowhere to go but up, I guess. Maybe they're going to lead into like Crisis on Infinite Earths or something like that, or Kingdom Come. Any of these things would be dynamite. I would have to say that I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed the Justice League movie. And I thought the Justice League movie was fine. I thought it was all right. I did enjoy it, but I thought that this was a slam dunk home run. I did something I don't normally do, but I have done in the past for things that are cool, and I captured the whole thing on VHS tape. I have down in the Earth base office, I have like a small, old style TV VCR, and every once in a while I'll tape stuff onto VHS in the main entertainment center so that I can later watch it in the office. I don't really watch it. I just kind of like put it on and leave the volume down when I'm milling around, and I'll like look at it. I usually like listen to music or listen to like crazy, creepy, cool movies, or like some Zerbinator Land shows, or the Atari 2600 Game by Game podcast, or Saturday Frights. They came back recently in the Diary of the Arcade Employee. I listened to that. I listened to all those retro style shows. Of course, Geek Fest Rants. I dig that one the most. And Gino Vega has one on the way pretty soon. You may be checking it out any day now, which is, it's good news. That's always good. What else is popping off? There is talk of a merger between Disney and Fox. Fox has the X-Men movies, so as of right now, I don't think it's gone all the way through, but it does look as if it is going to be going through. And there's like good and bad with this. I like the Fox X-Men movies. They have kind of a darker tone, I think, that goes well with the X-Men, but so far, everything that Disney's acquired, like Star Wars and Marvel and all these things, they've definitely gone up. So I don't know, their track record's pretty good so far, but I hope that it doesn't mean we're going to get less movies, because you could always count on a couple Marvel movies a year, and then like a couple Fox movies a year, be it like a Logan movie or a X-Men movie or whatever. So I don't know, ups and downs, highs and lows. We'll have to wait and see, but they've had a pretty good track record so far, so I don't have any reason to doubt that this will be good in the end. And I mean that like creatively, everything has been pretty decent so far, but I don't know how good it is having one company own everything in the entire world. That can't be good, but it is what it is. And also, I made a mistake a second ago when I said you could get the current shows like The Flash and all that stuff on the CW Seed. I made a mistake. Those are on just like the straight CW app. The CW Seed has some cool stuff. It has the entire run of Dynasty. Max Headroom, Pushing Daisies is on there. You can see all of Everwood. The entire run of Birds of Prey is up there. It's a good app, man. Get that on the Roku. Do you guys have a Roku? I myself like it when I'm home and I have the opportunity to watch something, like if the entire family's out. I usually do flip to the Roku. I don't know, man. I check out like weird stuff on Netflix or weird stuff on the Amazon Prime, and then there's like a bunch of weird indie apps on there that are fun. I never run out of stuff to watch on there. It's a real solid device. I think I got it for like $89, and I don't know, no complaints as of so far. So we're at like the end of the year as it were. And I'm going to announce a program change for this upcoming year, and I'll explain why with everything. This next year, when major holidays come around, I am going to put up classic episodes. And I'm talking the major holidays like New Year's, Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, things like that. Anything in which you get a vacation from school. I'm going to give you guys a classic episode, and it's not because of a lack of effort on my part. What I've noticed is when Thanksgiving week comes around with Halloween and all this stuff, nobody listens. I put out an episode, but everybody's out having fun. Everybody's doing fun stuff. So the listenership goes down like to 1/3 of what it is normally. And that's all good in the hood. I dig it. I want you guys to go and have fun. Don't feel like you have to come in and listen to my silly show. But the statistics are showing me that it may be sort of a wasted effort to put something out that week. It may be better to just kind of take 2 weeks worth of stuff, lump it into the next week, and have a super fun super show. I don't know. It's what I'm thinking. Let me know how you feel about that. It's no big deal to me either way. I think it's fun to make the show, but at the same time, if everybody's going to be out trick-or-treating or, doing Easter egg hunts and doing the stuff that they really should be doing, the good stuff, then hey man, I'm going to go do that stuff too, as it were, even though I get very little time off from the moon base. Let's take a look at the upcoming release schedule. So next week we're gonna have the world famous, the world renowned, the IC Robots Radio / TRU RPT Christmas special. It's an hour-long mix that was put together by our boy Iceberg many moons ago, and much like Shrek the Halls, much like the Toy Story that time forgot, much like the Charlie Brown Christmas special, much like the Garfield Christmas special. It airs once a year, and when it does, it brings Christmas cheer to everybody out there. This one is so great. It mixes together some Peter Pan / Power records that are Christmas themed. In one of them, Batman's fighting crime. In another one, the $6 Million Man is fighting crime. And in between those bits are a bunch of great Christmas songs. There's some Buck Owens, there's some Stevie Wonder, there's some Chipmunks, there's Blink-182. There's all sorts of fun stuff. And normally we drop on a Wednesday, but this time around we're gonna drop on Monday. Let's take a look. Monday the 18th. That will give you a full week to enjoy the music of Iceberg's choosing, the music of Iceberg's awesome mix before the day of Christmas comes. So look for that on the 18th, and then the next week, that's Christmas, New Year's week, so we're going to have a best of, and then we're going to be back with the top 5 movies of 2017. That's one of the most look forward to episodes of the year. I look forward to putting it together, taking a look-see at all the fun stuff I saw over the year. It's been a cool movie year so far. I've seen a lot of neat things, the Brawl In Cell Block, I saw that. I saw Lady Bird. I saw Baby Driver. By the time this comes around, I may very well have seen Star Wars. We're gonna find out what that kooky Luke Skywalker has been up to all these years. That's gonna be great. I can't wait, man. I'm hoping next year is a lot more fun than this one. We had there's fires in Southern California right now. There's hurricanes, earthquakes, all sorts of weird governmental world doings. But hey, man, it can only go up, right? Things are only gonna go up. We gotta, keep our eyes to the stars, as it were. We gotta imagine the best. So I'm gonna sign off. This is essentially the sign off for the year. I've had a great time with you guys. I think it's been great, made a lot of friends, had a lot of fun, everything's been dope, so, I don't know, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you guys a Merry Christmas, and that goes for Iceberg. I know he feels the same way, Engineer Emily, and maybe even AB Silver feels the same way, but I kind of doubt it's possible, though. So, for 2017, I'm signing off. This is me, IC Robots, and if you don't know, now you know. Merry Christmas.
This has been an IC Robots Radio production. IC Robots Radio is a listener-supported endeavor. If you like what we do and we make your day a little easier, please consider tossing a few bucks our way to help keep the life support running. All money collected goes to help us prepare for future space pirate attacks. Go on over to supportthereport.com for all the details. Thanks and have a great week.